Dota is a really fun online strategy game. At least that's what the internet says, because we all know that Dota is everything but fun. This game has really showed how toxic players can be, which most of the time results in angering the Russians. And broken keyboards, let's not forget about that one. And after playing Dota for years now, I can definitely say that this is not even a game. And I'm not saying this is a movie simulator like most AAA games these days. Far from it. What I'm saying is that Dota feels less like a game and more like a social experiment. How much one man can take until he realizes what he's doing is not good for him. The mental gymnastics, trash talks, anger, rage, broken keyboards, broken mouse, griefing, rage quitting, broken monitors, you name it. But in 2016, Valve really decided to turn Dota 2 into a psychological horror game and decided to give their players PTSD for the rest of their lives. And it did. This was the time when Dota really felt like the most unbalanced game of all time. But before we talk about how broken he was, let's talk about how he works. His passive ability is called Jingu Mastery. When you hit your enemies 4 times, you get bonus attack damage and lifesteal at first 4 strikes. Next is your Q ability, Boundless Strike. Monkey King enlarges his staff and slams it against the ground, stunning enemies and damaging them. This ability has crit damage, which means it will scale with your damage numbers. Daedalus, Desolator, Divine Rapier, all of these items work really well. But not just that, this item also works with your passive, which means you can hit your opponents 4 times, then use your Q to deal massive damage and fully heal yourself. But wait, there's more. Item passive procs like Desolator, Maelstrom, Eye of Skadi also works with this ability, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Next is Tree Dance. Monkey King jumps onto a tree and can leap over them, but when his tree gets destroyed, he gets stunned for 4 seconds, which is a really bad situation to be in. Also, if you take damage when you are on the ground, your tree dance goes on cooldown. But that's not all, because when you're on top of trees, you also get another ability called Primal Spring. Monkey King leaps to the targeted location, dealing damage and slowing opponents. In my opinion, this is one of the most creative abilities that Valve has made, and how they have used their own map in the best ways possible. Next ability is called Mischief, and hands down one of my favorite abilities. Monkey King disguises himself to deceive his opponents, taking inspiration from his surroundings. Which means if you're close to trees, then he will disguise himself as a tree. One good advice that I can give you is that stairs are the best place to use this ability, because you have a high chance to turn into a courier or a small object, which is really good for ganking and sneak attacks. It also has a shorter cooldown and damage immune duration, which can sometimes save your life, but not that effective all the time. Oh yeah, and you won't get detected by enemy towers. Then we have the ultimate ability, Wukong Command. Create a circular formation of soldiers that spread out from his position. Soldiers will attack enemies if they are in range, but will disappear if Monkey King leaves the area. You also get bonus armor for the spell duration. All soldiers have fixed attack speed, but their attack damage relies on your damage. Which means if you buy a lot of damage items, then your soldiers will also deal a lot of damage. And not just that, some item passives also work like Diffusal Blade, Daedalus, Monkey King, or Radiance. Now let's talk about the upgrades, starting off with Aghanim Scepter. This item upgrades your ultimate ability, which spawns soldiers near Monkey King after few seconds. They are uncontrollable and invulnerable, just like your ultimate. They attack anyone near them, but this time they also attack creeps and buildings. And the best part about this buff is that your soldiers also get Jingu passive, even soldiers from your ultimate ability, which makes your ultimate even more dangerous. Then finally we have the Aghanim Shard that upgrades your Q ability. Now has an all cast that makes Monkey King leap to the end of the staff as soon as Boundless Strikes hits the ground, which also applies a Primal Spring with 60% power. Very good for positioning yourself or catching enemies running away. And I know I did the whole intro saying how broken he was, so let's talk about it. In 2016, Valve decided to show their newest creation in the internationals called Monkey King. And not gonna lie, they got a really good feedback from their audience. People were excited to see what Valve has been cooking this time. Then finally, in December 2016, Valve released their new patch, 7.0, and finally players got what they wanted. and they didn't like it. Listen, I'm gonna be honest, he has really amazing abilities and it's really fun to play him. The main problem was that he was extremely overpowered. Like, I'm not even kidding. After 8 days they released another patch to nerf him. What were those nerfs, you might ask? Reduces Boundless Strike's crit damage from 200% on each level to 140 to 200. I'm gonna say this again, 200 on each level. Listen, I understand they wanted to make Monkey King into a snowballing kind of hero, but I think we might be overthinking this one. And this was the hotfix, by the way. This guy had way more problems than you think. But don't worry, like every responsible game dev, they did the right thing in the end. Literally went AFK for 2 months and just forgot about him. Round of applause for Valve. They really showed how responsible they are. And I know a lot of people say that they did that on purpose so that they could sell more Arcanas for Monkey King. Or maybe they released a lot of content at once, which caused a lot of balancing issues. Which might be true, but then again, it's Valve we're talking about, so anything goes. In later patches, they nerfed his Jingu, reduces his damage and lifesteal. Tree Dance nighttime vision was reduced, and also they gave Primal Spring audible sound to enemy through the Fog of War. Yes, they did patch this in later. This was not a thing before. And remember when I said your ultimate ability works with your item passives? Well, they also messed up with that one as well. Skull Basher used to work with your ultimate, which was also very annoying. I think it also worked with your Echo Saber and slows down your enemies, but I might be wrong. What I'm trying to say is that everything went wrong with this.
What does this even do?
Ready for any.
Whatever, YOLO! Monkey King things! I don't know what I did, but he's dead!
Let me slow it down for you guys so you can understand this, okay? This is him dealing damage at level 6 with no damage items. Just think about that. And the only way to summarize Monkey King experience in one sentence is this.
I don't know what I did, but he's dead!
And that's all you need to know. But don't worry about this guy anymore, because his win rate is atrocious right now. And you guys also have bigger things to deal with, because when one thing gets fixed, the other one just breaks. When I was editing this video, the new patch came out, which looks really amazing. Haven't played it much, but one thing's for certain, my wish has been fulfilled. In one of my videos, I specifically said, goes from one corner to the other one using teleporters. Wish they made him walk all the way across the map, that would be hilarious, but it is what it is. And guess what? In this patch, they finally did it. Well, I guess Gaben is really watching me. And they also brought him back to mid, which is a good decision. I don't know why they put him in the corner in the first place. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video and have fun. Bye.